Let's start out with a question for both of you. Whoever wants to answer first. What kind of music did you grow up listening to?
Well, I grew up listening to spiritual. Those are my brother Jimmy and Rita Mae and my father. We always known as the Ruffin family. And we used to open up shows for like the Soul Stirrers, Mahalia Jackson, you know, Clara Ward singers. It was the opening act in Meridian, Mississippi.
I grew up listening to gospel and country and western, and all rhythm and blues.
Country western, that's real interesting.
Gentlemen, we're going to need you to speak a little louder. Abby, can I lower the mic a little, because it seems pretty far out of frame. Okay. Yeah, stop there. Sorry. Sorry. I'll tell you when they're rolling. We have speed. Sorry. Okay, speed.
Okay. Eddie, what kind of music did you grow up listening to?
Well, I grew up listening to gospel, country and western, and R&B.
Mm-hmm. What part of the country did you grow up in that you're listening to country western?
Alabama.
Oh.
We didn't quite have as many stations, so you had to kind of listen to country and western.
David, how about you?
Well, I grew up in Meridian, Mississippi, and my sister Rita Mae and my brother Jimmy, all of us was known as the Ruffin family, and we opened up shows for a lot of spiritual groups. It's Clara Ward, Mahalia Jackson, whoever came into town at the time. But like Ed was saying, basically you had to listen to country and western if you listen to any kind of non-spiritual songs, which Randy, I think, came out of Memphis.
Yeah, he had it out, yeah.
Randy had a lot of songs that was mostly blues, pop, you know, if there were any. And it reached a long way. Matter of fact, it reached from Memphis to Brown, Michigan, Ohio state line now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Guys, what does the term soul music mean to you? What is the definition of it to you?
From the heart. It comes from the heart, and it comes from the soul.
It's a
it comes
feeling.
from the spirit, yeah.
I would say a feeling. I want to keep what little love and everything I have in my heart.
Mm-hmm. And that's the soul of
But
it.
it's only a feeling of expression, I would say. You know.
Your questions, you know, have to be incorporated in the answer,
Oh, right. Right.
Can you stop 1 minute just a second?
This is not the first time we've ever done this.
Okay.
Right. Thanks, Barry. I appreciate that.
Abby? Okay? Okay, so go back and roll. And yes, speed.
Okay. What is your definition of soul music?
Well, soul music, I think, comes from the heart. It's from the spirit and the love of singing and being able to sing, I guess.
You did a pretty good job.
Okay.
It's a feeling of expression, really. That's about it. You could say, well, I love you, baby. Mm-hmm. You could say, whoa, I love you, baby.
It means
it's
different.
it's just a different feeling of expressing it, I suppose.
You know, when people talk about soul music as a type of music and not just an expression of coming from the heart, do you think that, in looking at it that way, do you think that its basic roots comes from gospel music?
Well, yes, that's from God. The whole spiritual feeling of the thing is we all get our message from that area, and that's the soul we're talking about, actually. Jesus.
How did the Temptations come together?
Well, we're a combination of 3 groups, actually, and a single artist. David is a single artist, and I was from the Primes, and Otis Williams from the Distance. And what we did, we merged the 2 groups, and then we found David, and that was it. That's how we got together as Temps. I mean, it's a little more in detail in that, but I'm just telling you the surface of it. Yes.
Where'd the name come from?
That's a good question. Where did the name come from?
I don't really know.
From what I've understood, that I think Billie Jean Brown came up with that particular name. She was she's over A&R, right?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
I think she had a little influence in that.
Well, actually, there was another group had the Temptations name. They had a record out called Barbara, and it's an all-white group. And,
Out of here.
Yeah.
Out of, Long Island?
Yeah, somewhere in this area. I know.
I think right.
And they had the name first, and next thing I know, we had the name. So that's how all we know.
I understand, Eddie, in 1962, the name was all of a sudden the Pirates for one song. Why was that?
Well, that was to cover another record. Nolan Strong had out a record called, I can't remember the name of the record that we had out as the Pirates. Mind of Matter. Okay, and we had to cut the record, I guess, to cover the record because Motown wanted it covered, and they put it out on a different label, which was Pirate Records. I guess you could say we pirated that record.
It might be nice if you scoot your chair a little over. Thank you.
What, I understand earlier in your career with Motown and with Berry Gordy, you worked with Smokey Robinson. What was it like working with him, and how influential was Smokey in helping develop the sound that was so uniquely the Temptations?
Well, I met Smokey, I was, 16. And I think anyone who produces you or writes your material has something to do with your sound. I would say he helped develop a multitude of sounds.
Well, his sound actually, we developed it. He wrote his sound, and we sang it with our sound. That's what basically.
With our style.
Yes, that's what way I see it.
Wasn't his sound.
Yeah, it was part of a mixture of his and ours
It
too.
was his style of
Yeah,
writing.
right.
And our sound.
Our sound. Okay. Okay, that works. Yeah.
Vice
Yeah,
versa,
that
either
works.
way.
Yeah. And which explains that, made us come up with hits. So that was it. It's end justify the means.
Sort of like the chicken and the egg.
Yeah, which one
Yeah.
comes first, right?
Certainly one of the things, other than that unique Temptation sound that you guys were so well known for, was the choreography. How did that all come together?
Well, actually, we could leave that with Paul Williams. He's the one that come up with all of that. He did the steps, and we put in there one or two every now and then, if he had let us. I would leave that with him. He was a man for that.
Okay. In some of the reading that I was doing, and reading about the early days with Motown, I understand that there was something at Motown called Artist Development School that Berry Gordy had set up. Is that true? Where you would send Motown artists, you would have classes to teach you how to walk and talk and deal with the press.
Well, artist development came from, I think, the beginning of it came from Maurice King. Maurice King was the musical director.
And Doris Powell, right? I think she wasn't there? Oh, okay.
Not at a particular time I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
He was, I know he taught me when I was like 16, 17 years old. And he started teaching modern harmony, I would say. And then Miss Powell came in.
Okay.
And then Charlie Atkins came in, and they would have we would go in and rehearse from 10 in the morning to 12, and the Supremes from 12 to 2, and on, smoking them, in the evening. And I think it did the artists a heck of a lot of good, because really a lot of them really couldn't dance at all. Thank God for Charlie Atkins. But I think it helped all the artists very much so.
Another show that we're going to do in this series later on is we're going to do a show on style and fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Who was responsible for coordinating the fashion look of the group?
Well, I was responsible for that.
Can you use that as a declarative?
Yeah. Can you say I was responsible for coordinating?
No, I was responsible for the closing.
You should have let me say that.
Yeah, okay, well, you can if you like.
No, I think it would be better.
Okay, fine.
I did that.
Did I say that like
That's the
that?
way it's coming off.
Oh, well, definitely sorry that. Maybe I even raised up a little bit. Huh?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I'll just shoot it towards him, and then he can take it.
Okay. Who was responsible for coordinating the style and fashion of the group?
Well, Mr. Kendricks here, I would have to say he did a heck of a job with that. You can tell them better than I can. You know, details.
Well, actually, Harvey Krantz and myself and Richard Burton in Houston, Texas.
And Jeannie.
And Jeannie the Taylor of England. Yeah, we all got together and had the clothes. They made I come up with the ideas and they made the clothes.
I don't know if you have an intro to that, though.
Okay, what's that?
You don't have an intro to what it is you're talking about, the design of the clothes.
I can use a voiceover. I think I'll be okay. What was the basic fashion look of the group?
Well, we didn't have a basic fashion look. We would try basically anything because we could wear the clothes. And we all were tall and slim, and we all looked good, so you can basically put anything on. It was like being models. So we really didn't have, we wore a little bit of everything.
I think it was colors.
Yeah, it had a lot to do with the colors. That's because...
It was, I would say, it basically, it was a style.
Yeah, well, that's because of the colors.
We had white boots, black patent leather boots, white patent leather boots. Pants was 14-inch, where they are right now today. About that much above the boot where Michael Jackson wearing his pants. And it just came back around. But there was a basic style before.
And the colors were because we used to play like the big theaters, and people way in the back could not see if you had on dark colors. So we put the colors on so they were able to see, and the white shoes so they were able to see the movement from far back.
Well, that's fascinating. I never thought of it that way. That's great. And now, who did you say you came up with the basic idea, and you said somebody from England made the clothes for you?
Well, Jeannie the Taylor, she's deceased now. She was a little tiny girl, and she was very good at sewing. And she put the clothes together for us, and she cut them just like we wanted them, everything. She was very good. And Richard Burton, no, not Richard Burton, Johnny Burton.
Johnny Burton out of Houston.
Out of Houston, Texas. And then Harvey Krantz, who in turn started making Elvis's clothes, I think.
Oh, really? When you would go out on the road, how many trunks apiece would you have, basically?
Well,
we didn't take trunks as members of the
No.
group. The clothes were in maybe about 3 or 4 trunks or something like that.
no, it wasn't. When we went out on the road, we had one suitcase.
Well, this was
a
later
dress-
on.
No.
Okay, well.
When we started.
Oh, we didn't have anything
Everything
then,
went on
but-
top of the station wagon.
You're right.
Trump, what Trump?
Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right about that. That's when that's when we first got started. Well, we didn't have no clothes that much then.
We had 3.
3 uniforms.
He was kicking women.
What were the 3 uniforms you had when you first started? Do you remember? What were they like?
Had a black, when we first started, we had a black short, like, jacket. We wore that for a while. And we got tired of looking at it that way, and I think Ed took and put some white trim around it so it brightened things up a little bit. And we had a green 2-piece
Yeah.
suit that we started wearing white shoes with.
And the brown and the black and gold we had, yeah.
And black and gold.
Yeah.
And then we got you got us some green suits with the iridescent brown in it. You don't remember
I
those
don't
first?
remember, no.
Green suits. The light hit them, they turned brownish and green. Oh.
Okay.
I'm the elephant.
Yeah, you're right. And now you know I forget it like that, okay.
Well, you was designing all the time. You know, I was wearing them. I didn't like a lot of that stuff you had us wearing.
You're just hearing this for the first time, Eddie.
Now it comes out.
No, it
okay.
just
Well, at least
comes-
you wore it. Oh,
No, but
yeah,
it's
at
just,
least you wore
it's come to, your favorite things are before you go on stage, and sometimes there would be nights Paul would say, are we wearing the blue tux? And I said, no, I don't think we're wearing the blue tux. I think we're wearing the white tonight. I said,
Yeah, I remember that, though.
everybody
I
had their
remember that,
favorites,
yeah.
I think,
When the things within the group, were things always a group decision? Was there a leader?
Oh, well, we all had made decisions we talked about it and then we carried it out on some things. And I think we lost it when it came down to the business.
Well, sometimes that's always the way it is. But
Yeah.
creatively.
Yeah, we were together. Yeah.
Now, I understand in 1968 about there was sort of a a different change in the sound. It sort of went from being pop ballads into more psychedelic soul. How did that come about?
Well, the new sound came, I think, I didn't think a new sound, I don't think it came, I think it was something that had to be created because there's not another Eddie Kendricks, there's not another Paul Williams, so
Or David.
68, that was when I departed, so they couldn't keep doing Wish It Would Rain, My Girl, so they had to go to Cloud Nine.
You're exactly right. Psychedelic Shack.
Psychedelic Shack. And which helped, I think, was very good. Which at least left me a little identity.
Yeah, it sure did. 'Cause, well, we had to gather something at that particular point because we knew we were losing a great singer, and we were being replaced by another singer, and we had to do something to maintain our status quo or whatever we call it or whatever they call it. And we happened to do pretty fair. It wasn't quite as good as the first records we had, but we maintained, and which is what they're doing now, maintaining.
Now, by 1982, you had both left, but in 82, you both went back. And why?
Well, I think in '82 when the reunion tour, we did that. Yeah, Eddie and I've always felt basically that the fans was a little bit cheated on that. It was too abrupt. I have always felt all this time that one day, I used to tell Ed, he said, man, that'll never happen. I said, one day it's going to happen. And from help, Mr. Kendricks, it happened. But it took a lot of effort and a lot of, there's a lot of feeling involved. You know, you get 5 people or 7 people. But I think it came off great, and it was not just a reunion for us, the Temptations, Eddie and I. At shows, you would see people that haven't seen each other in 10, 15 years. So a reunion for the whole thing. Plus, I think it started something. I didn't hear any, of any reunion until Temptation reunion. Then I heard of the Impression reunion, and Chicago got back together, Jackson 5 reunion, which brought a lot of people back together.
I guess you say
Not
the Temps
just
can do
for
it.
the Temptation reunion. It was a reunion, I'm thinking, of overall of all the fans, all the people that have wanted to see the Temptation and never saw them, because, you know, when you're out there and you're really hot, everybody knows you. Because I found out just how many people really, really knows you.
Yeah.
And I think we picked up a lot of new fans, even in that, in '82.
And made a lot of audience people very happy.
Oh, thank you.
And in the end, it made us very happy too.
So how did you get together with these 2 guys, this Daryl Hall and John Oates? How did this come about?
Well, actually, it came from 1966. We knew them in 1966 at the Uptown Theater in Philadelphia. And, well, Paul more so knew them more than myself anyway. And they called us, and they wanted to do the Apollo Theater. And we obliged them and did the show. They called our booking agency, actually. And we did the show with them. To make a long story short, yeah.
That was an area where I think Paul got them a uniform or something.
Right. The fresh uniforms,
But
yeah.
I think it was basically where you sit around and you try to instill as much, confidence as you can. Going back now, I can remember, but he didn't look anything like he did today.
Right. Because we didn't know who they were, the same guys. Now, when we got to their office, and they showed us these pictures with us back in 1966, and kind of floored me. I was flabbergasted.
Me too.
Because I didn't know that. I liked their music and everything, but I didn't know they were the same guys that were called the Temptones, who had changed into Daryl Hall and John Oates.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Okay.
That's amazing. How easy do you find it to perform with Daryl and John?
Surprisingly enough, they told us that they rehearse our records to go on the stage when they get ready to hit. They have a little free singing, and that's what they do. And so that's what made it kind of automatic. They were singing our songs, and we already knew how to sing the songs, and they knew how to sing them, so it was very easy. And our personalities just clicked just like that because they are a class organization.
Terrific. What is what's your favorite Temptation song that you've done?
That's kind of hard to say.
Really?
Because we
So many I like,
we were
yeah.
fortunate enough to have a lot of good producers and writers, and having Motown behind us and back us real well. We were fortunate enough to we could like anything that we cut, because all of the material was good, had good melodic melody lines, and it was done real well.
In between and far wide, but I think the way you do the things you do would be a very good start for me anyway.
Yeah, because it's space hit record. And the hit records that we have right as of right today, the same two records as My Girl and Way to Do Things You Do. One started our career to Zooming, and they're the same records as Zooming Us Again.
So what can we look forward to from you guys in '86? What's going on?
Well, 1986. Well, Eddie and I are, as a lot of people know now, we have united together as to try and make the best of music. We have an album that we're working on right now, and with the help of Daryl and John and young man Gene McFadden. And Eddie has some tunes also, and I have some, and we're looking forward to having something out very soon, right after, I suppose, after March. Mm-hmm.
Great.
Which I hope everybody buy it.
That
We
makes
need the money.
Yeah,
That's what Paul used to say. Won't it? Buy it.
Thank you guys for coming by.
I would like
you.
to say to you, thank you very much for inviting us on, and I'd like to say God bless Daryl and John, and thank all of you people out there who have stood by it, and
I second that
I
emotion.
salute you. And thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
What was the first time you saw James Brown?
First time I saw James Brown was at the Greystone Ballroom. And the last time I saw James was at the Beacon Theater.
The first time I saw him was in the Majestic Hotel in Cleveland, Casino Royal in Cleveland, Ohio.
In the year?
1950. Yeah. Yeah, leave it like that. Okay, well,
No,
it's in
but
the
James,
50s.
I think James Brown has been an inspiration too. I call him Uncle James, so well, I'm close to him. He has inspired, I think, so many artists. And I was reading the other night coming back from Oakland, where they are inducting him into the Hall of Fame, Musical Hall of Fame. The man is, through the years, I think have sustained a great number that he has passed on by, and to be as Asian to perform as diligent and as hard as he does. Hello, Unc.
Godfather.
Godfather.
What is the James Brown sound? I mean,
James Brown sound? Well, James Brown to me is a heck of a singer. If you listen to Please, Please, This Is a Man's World, but how many people can take one word? He said, well, David, they tried to keep me down. So the only thing came to my mind and say, I'm back. And it was a hit. As a matter of fact, I did about a 6 or 7 day tour with him when that came out. Wonderful man. I like to say God bless him. James, take care of yourself.